Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone's having a happy holiday.
You can say, y'all can say it again.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Let's see. It's a little before 2, but courtroom 2, if you are all ready to go.
I can't.
Ms. Bridgewater, good afternoon. When is the SAP reset date?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. It's gonna be July the 5th.
July 5th. Thank you.
Where's Barbara?
Right up.
Let me see here. Are we ready to start? Good afternoon, Judge. Are we ready to start?
Yes, we're ready. We're waiting on you all.
Okay. We can start with Mr. Barber, position 1.
Who's representing Mr. Barber this afternoon?
That would be me, Your Honor. Good afternoon, and Allison Whitfield from the Public Defender.
Good afternoon, Ms. Whitfield. Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Barber. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the state court expedited accusation calendar that we're conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Barber, you've been charged in case 22 CR 003908F with driving while your license was suspended or revoked. Good afternoon, Ms. Duncan. How are you?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. I'm well.
Is this your case? Are you presenting for the state on this?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you going to ask for something more than a signature bond?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Foster, good afternoon.
Hello, Judge. How are you?
I'm doing well. Is there a history?
Yes, Judge, he has a history of driving offenses, 14 prior arrests. There appears to be other driving offenses, driving with a suspended license in 21 and 20 in Gwinnett, and driving without a valid license in Atlanta. 2 arrests with the ATF. Nothing further.
Thank you. Ms. Duncan?
Yes, Your Honor. Under these facts, officers conducted a traffic stop on Edgewood Avenue of a Nissan Titan, and the driver, when they approached the driver of the vehicle, they asked for the because the license was suspended, and the driver was identified as Calvin Barber. He stated that he was not the owner of the vehicle and that the vehicle belonged to his father-in-law. However, when his driver's license was requested, he stated that he only had a state identification card. And when he was asked if his license was suspended, he replied, yes. Your Honor, given this defendant's history of driving offenses, we're concerned about a risk of reoffense in this case. We're also a bit concerned about his history in terms of the number of driving offenses, and he has a fling or attempting to elude as well. It's a bit remote, but we're concerned that this behavior indicates that he is opposed to following legal restrictions. Therefore, we are requesting a bond in the amount of $2,000 surety and no driving unless validly licensed.
All right, it's going to be $1,000 signature bond through the jail, no driving without a valid license. Is that okay with you, Ms. Whitfield?
No objections here, Your Honor.
Okay, very good. Good luck to you, Mr. Barber.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, this courtroom 3, can we put the interpreter and I guess Whitfield or Mr. White?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so who wants Ms. Whitfield and Mr. White both have a need for an interpreter this afternoon?
That's correct. That is
Yes,
correct.
Your Honor.
All right, good afternoon, Mr. White. Hope you're well.
Good afternoon,
So-
Judge. I am. Thank you.
Good. Who wants to go in first? I don't know who anybody is on the calendar, so as far as your case is.
I'm the second half of the calendar, so I'm not sure. Maybe it would
Okay.
be easier for me to do that. And then
Okay.
when Ms. Whitfield gets some of the first half, then she could do that, and then when she's done, we'll stop and let her do her final case. I don't know if that
Okay,
makes.
that sounds good. So let's put, good afternoon, Madam Interpreter. Hope you're well as well. Let's put,
Honor. Good afternoon.
good afternoon. Let's put Mr. White and the interpreter into courtroom 3, into a breakout room, courtroom 3. And if we can go back to courtroom 2, and I guess Ms. Whitfield has the first half of the calendar, so if we can take her cases. Is that okay with you, courtroom 2?
Yes, that's fine. First half. Okay, position 2, Mr. Bryant.
Good afternoon, Mr. Bryan. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we are conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Bryant, you've been charged in case 22 CR 003912D with failure to yield right-of-way to an emergency vehicle, possession of an open alcohol container, improper backing, a seatbelt violation, fleeing or attempting to elude a police officer, and a window or windshield wiper violation. Is there a history?
In regards to Mr. Bryant, there are 3 prior arrests. His last arrest is an FTA in 21, and it's on a traffic offense for fixing and reducing increased window tint violation. There appears to still be a hold in Henry County for a traffic offense. Nothing further.
Duncan?
Yes, Your Honor. This incident occurred on yesterday on Boulder Ridge Drive and Gathwaney Drive. This incident occurred that there was officers were on patrol and they were doing a traffic stop because they noticed several cars stopped at an intersection. Upon stopping at that intersection, one of the officers engaged their sirens and lights, and the other officer followed suit to indicate that they wanted the drivers of the vehicles that were stopped at the intersection to remain where they were so the officers could investigate the situation. One of the officers witnessed a white Ford Mustang in attempting to leave the area by backing up, but putting the car in reverse and backing up. Officers were able to stop that vehicle. That vehicle was being driven by the defendant, and upon making contact with the defendant, officers noticed an open bottle of Hennessy in the passenger compartment cup holder. Also, officers noticed that the defendant was not wearing a seatbelt in this case, and that the seatbelt was buckled behind him. And because of these instances and the defendant's history, Your Honor, we are requesting a bond. And we're also concerned about, my apologies, the flight risk of this defendant, as he does have an additional FTA on the record, and the risk of reoffending due to the history indicated by pretrial. We are requesting a bond in the amount of $3,000. That is $5,000 surety per offense, Your Honor. And no driving unless validly licensed. Nothing further from the state.
Okay, so for the failure to yield, these are all going to be signature bonds through the jail. For the failure to yield, $250. For the open container, $500. Improper backing, $250. Seatbelt, $250. Fleeing or attempting to elude, $500. Windshield violation, $250. So it makes it a total of a $2,000 signature bond through the jail. No drugs or alcohol while out on bond. Is that satisfactory to you, Ms. Whitfield?
That was going to be my request, Your Honor.
Oh, very good. Good luck to you, Mr. Bryant.
Thank you so much, Your Honor.
Next is position 3, Mr. Camp.
Good afternoon, Mr. Camp. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we are conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Camp, you've been charged in case 22 CR 003909G with improper erratic lane change and hit and run, duty of a driver to stop or return to the scene of an accident. Is there a history?
Judge, in regards to Mr. Camp,
Yes,
2 prior arrests, and he appears to have an open felony case for aggravated assault firearm during felony and discharging within 50 feet of a highway, 21 CP 204-236, and then an open case for theft by receiving stolen property, 20 CP 193-735, and then a marijuana case. Nothing further.
thank you. Ms. Duncan? You're on mute.
Thank you, Your Honor. In this case, the incident took place at 3378 Greenbrier Parkway. The defendant in this case was operating a silver Chrysler 300 when he collided with a Mr. Ronald Nolan's gray BMW 325. According to the accident report, it indicates that the defendant did leave the scene at that time and proceeded to go on to a complex that was near the location. Continue out of that complex and not stop at the incident location. He did exit the vehicle, look at both vehicles, and then get back in the car and leave. Given this defendant's history, Your Honor, we are going to request in this case a $3,000 surety bond. That's $1,000 for the improper lane change and $2,000 for the hit and run. No alcohol, drugs, and weapons, and no driving unless validly licensed.
Thank you, Ms. Whitfield.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. We're requesting a signature bond in this case, Your Honor. He does not have any prior convictions. He also does not have any prior FTAs or probation violations. Mr. Camp informs me that he did talk with the driver. He did get out and speak with him, asked if everything was okay. He did not see any damage to the other driver's car, and that he did not, this was not an incident that happened outside an apartment complex. I'm not quite sure. He indicates that this all occurred within an apartment complex. They were driving very slow speed, Your Honor. Indicates to me he did not leave the area. He did not flee the scene. They both live in the apartment complex. I'm fairly certain there were no injuries reported to the driver whatsoever. Your Honor, he is 19 years old. So he's very young. He's been in Atlanta all his life. His whole family lives here. He does live in the apartment complex by himself. He has been working for a year doing property renovations. He completed the 11th grade in school. So that's our request at this time. He does not have any prior as well driving offenses that the state was able to point to. So that is our request at this time.
So for the improper lane change, $1,000 signature bond through the jail. For the hit and run, a $2,000 signature bond through the jail, makes for a total of a $3,000 signature bond through the jail. No drugs or alcohol while out on bond. And of course, I don't think there's an issue. Otherwise, he would have been charged, but no driving without a valid license.
Thank you.
Good luck to you, Mr. Camp.
Thank you.
Yeah. Next is position 5, Mr. Dixon.
And after we do Mr. Dixon, let's put Ms. Whitfield into the breakout room with the interpreter so that she can speak regarding her case. But we'll go ahead and do position 5, Mr. Dixon, before that. Good afternoon, Mr. Dixon. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the state court expedited accusation calendar that we're conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video? You're on mute, courtroom 2. You agree to have your case heard by video, Mr. Dixon?
Yes, sir, I do agree. Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Dixon, you've been charged in case 22 CR 003911A with simple battery. Is there a history?
Judge, in regards to Mr. Dixon, 6 prior arrests, a prior felony obstruction, and 2016 2 arrest for probation violation. Currently is on probation for aggravated assault, aggravated battery out of Gwinnett. Was a 10-year sentence in 2019, does not qualify for a signature bond through pretrial services. Nothing further.
Thank you. Ms. Duncan?
Yes, Your Honor, this incident took place on June 18th at 2551 Etheridge Drive. That's Etheridge, Etheridge Drive. In this incident, Your Honor, the defendant is accused of walking past another tenant of the rooming house in which he lived, Mr. Williams Thomas, and spitting on him in the face as he passed him in the hallway. The warrant indicates that this is not the first incident between the two parties. And the warrant states that the victim in this case, Mr. Thomas, says that the defendant pulled out his camera after spitting on him in anticipation of retaliation. However, our victim indicated that his only retaliation was to call 911. We are requesting in this case, since there's a risk of reoffense in this case, we are concerned and our bond recommendation would be a $3,500 surety. No further contact with the victim in this case. Williams Thomas, stay away from the incident location, one-day anger awareness, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons.
Ms. Whitfield?
Thank you, Your Honor. We are asking for a signature bond through the jail for Mr. Dixon today. He is in the process of moving out of this group home he's been living in. He's had repeated problems with this particular individual. He's filed multiple TPOs against this individual, complained to management to try and get him evicted. However, that has not happened. So Mr. Dixon is in the process of moving out as we speak. He was, I believe, there to collect some of his last belongings so that he can leave the house officially and separate himself from Mr. Thomas. He is 36 years old, Your Honor. He's lived in Atlanta for most of his life. He has been working general labor with Chase Professionals since about 2019. He's been doing warehousing, he's been forklift driving, he has a CDL. He does have some college completed, and he does have somewhere else he is going to stay. He is not going to be returning to this incident location, Your Honor, alleged incident location. However, he would like a one-time sheriff escort to go and retrieve the remainder of his items that are there. So in this case, Your Honor, as we've requested, we're asking for a signature bond through the jail in this case.
All right, it's going to be a $2,000 surety bond. No further contact with Williams Thomas. Stay away from the 2551 Etheridge Drive address. He can go back to that address on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings that he might have there. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Dixon.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it, y'all.
Okay, so if it's okay, can we put Ms. Whitfield, the interpreter, and courtroom 3 into a breakout room and take Mr. White's cases, which I believe he indicated were at the end of the calendar.
Judge Morrow, we also have a conflict attorney case to position 7.
Oh, okay, thank you, Mr. Jordan. Or you can take position 7, courtroom 2.
Position 7, Ferguson. Okay, that's position 7 is in Union City.
Okay,
Can we do position 21, Mr. Williams?
that's your case, Mr. White?
It is, Judge.
Yes.
Also,
afternoon.
I'm sorry, Judge. They also have a visitor in the gallery for them.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Williams. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Williams, you've been charged in case 22 CR 003907Y with obscured or missing license plate, a window or windshield wiper violation, 2 of those, fleeing or attempting to elude a police officer, and possession of marijuana less than an ounce. Is there a history?
No prior arrest, Judge.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Segura. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm doing pretty well.
Good. This your case?
Yeah, it is, yes.
Okay, you can proceed.
This occurred on June the 19th, 2022 at the intersection of Boulder Ridge Drive and Pewaukee Drive, Atlanta. In this instance, officers were doing patrol duties at the incident location in which they saw several vehicles in and around that intersection. One police officer saw another officer activate emergency lights and siren in order to stop the movements of any vehicles and to yield them as well. At this time, an officer observed the defendant intend to leave the area. He reversed away from the scene while there was a traffic stop in which he was stopped. When officers went to see the defendant, they noticed he had a tinted cover over the license plate, a 6% metered window tints, a tinted windshield, and had marijuana less than an ounce. Because of this, we're asking for a $3,000 surety bond, $500 for the obscure license, $500 each for the windshield violations, $1,000 for the fleeing or attempting to elude police, and $500 for the possession of marijuana for a total of $3,000 surety bond. We're also asking for the conditions of no alcohol, drugs, and weapons, and no driving without a valid license and a visible license plate. Thank you.
All right, so it's going to be a signature bond through the jail for the fleeing or attempted to elude. It's going to be a $500 signature bond through the jail. For each other offense, it's a $250 signature bond through the jail, which makes a total of a $1,500 signature bond through the jail. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Does that suit you, Mr. White?
We have no objection. Thank you.
All right, good luck to you, Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Next is position 12, McSmith.
Good afternoon, Mr. McSmith. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're doing by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. McSmith, you've been charged in case 22 CR 003899F with simple assault, family violence, disorderly conduct, and simple battery. Is there a history?
No prior adult arrest.
Mr. Segura?
This occurred on June the 19th, 2022, in which officers were working at the Unbottled Glow Live Festival, which was hosted at 810 Windsor, Atlanta. In this incident, an officer observed the defendant walking over to the victim, Ms. Tiana Taplin. Tiana spelled T-I-Y-A-N-N-A, Taplin, T-A-P-L-I-N. When he walked over to pick up a book bag near them, at that point, he stood up in an offensive fighting position while facing Ms. Taplin. At that point, he screamed at her. And then afterwards, one of Ms. Taplin's friends, Ms. Carly Riley, Carly spelled C-A-R-L-A-E, Riley, tried to intervene, in which the defendant pushed her. Alongside, he was acting loud, he was screaming, and he was acting in a disorderly fashion around both Ms. Taplin, Ms. Riley, and Ms. Crystal Herring. Crystal, common spelling, Herring, H-E-R-R-I-N-G. As such, the state is recommending a $4,000 surety bond, $1,500 for the simple assault family violence, in which in this point, Ms. Taplin and the defendant reside together for 6 years. And as we spoke to Ms. Taplin earlier today, she stated the defendant is her fiance. Alongside, we're asking for $1,000 for disorderly conduct and $1,500 for the simple battery for a total of $4,000 surety bond. We're also asking for 1-day anger awareness, no alcohol, drugs, and weapons, and no further contact of Tiana Taplin, Carly Riley, and Crystal Herring. Foundations are based on these facts. And so we are concerned about the safety of Ms. Taplin. She did state that the defendant was her fiance. Even though there's no injuries, there was a concern because this all came about simply from it's uncertain how this originated. So because of that, we're concerned about her safety. Thank you.
Mr. White?
Judge, first, I don't think that Ms. Tappan is concerned about her safety. I believe that is the state. We are asking that Mr. McSmith be allowed to sign his own bond. This is his first ever arrest. He's 25 years old. And he's been in the Atlanta area for 10 years. He has deep family connections here. And again, first ever arrest. We're asking. I'm not sure if you know anything about the report, Judge, but it does say that he was tased. And the officer said that he raised his taser as a warning. Not sure if Mr. McSmith actually saw the taser. And then the officer actually says, I did not issue a verbal command, and then tased him twice. But anyway, we're asking that he be allowed to sign his own bond.
All right, so for each charge, it's going to be $1,000 signature bond through pretrial, which makes it a total of a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial. 1-day anger awareness, no further violent contact with Ms. Taplin, Ms. Wiley, or Ms. Herring, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. McSmith.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Next, we have position 10, Mr. Kaka.
Is that your client, Mr. White?
I know that position 10 is
Your
not.
Honor, the state is requesting a breakout room for this case.
Okay, this is not Mr. White's case. I
Oh,
think that he is the only other public defender that we have available at the present time. So can we
Okay.
go to one of his?
Got you. I
Thank
thought
you.
it was, my bad.
That's all right.
Mr. McWay. That is going to be position number, Mr. McWay, Rodney McWay.
13.
What position is that again?
13.
13, okay. Good afternoon, Mr. McWay. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. McWay, you've been charged in case 22 CR 003898B with battery family violence. Is there a history, Ms. Foster?
In regards to Mr. McWay, all of his arrests are from out of state, 9 in DC, 2 in Maryland. Conviction was unauthorized use in 2016 out of Maryland. Last arrest was a fugitive from justice in Virginia in 2015. Nothing further.
Mr. Segura?
This occurred on June the 18th, 2022 at phone 165 Renfrew Court, Southwest Atlanta. In this instance, officers responded to a dispute call at the incident location in which they spoken with Miss Passion Mitchell, Passion, common spelling, Mitchell, common spelling, who said that there was an argument between Horn and the defendant, which escalated to an altercation, in which the defendant attacked her, which left her with a large knot on the center of her head, scratches and bruises on the left forearm, and a swollen closed left eye. Because of this, the state is recommending a $5,000 surety bond, 1-day anger awareness, no alcohol, drugs, and weapons. A stay from the 4165 Renfrew Court, Southwest Atlanta address, and no further contact with Passion Mitchell. Yet the state has deep concerns because as we spoke with Mitchell, they have 6 children at home, in which 3 of the children belong to Horn and the defendant. She sustained a black eye and a bump on her head. She intended to minimize her injuries when our victim advocate spoke to her. But at the same time, our victim advocate stated that she sounded nervous and scared while talking to her.
Judge, objecting that the victim witness might have said, or the speculation on her part, and it's hearsay as well.
Okay, well, I didn't hear what Mr. Segura said, so I'll take that into account, Mr. White. Mr. Segura, again, I did not hear what you said.
No.
Regarding the victim witness.
Well, as the spoken, our victim witness just stated that Miss Mitchell just sounded frightened and scared when she was talking. And honestly, we have deep concerns regardless because there are children at home, which they have 3 kids. And honestly, we are concerned about whether or not the defendant will actually be around if he is released, as he does have multiple out-of-state cases. As pretrial noted, 9 DC, 5 Virginia to Maryland, in which the most recent was only a couple of years ago out of Virginia for fugitive from justice. Because of these concerns, we're asking for a surety bond, definitely because of a relationship between Mitchell and defendant, when she do have children. Thank you.
Mr. White?
Judge, first of all, it's our understanding that Mr. McWay has no violent arrests in his history. He's 30 years old. He's employed. He has 2 jobs. And part of what I think the state was trying to say is that the complaining witness was downplaying anything that the incident. My understanding is that I tried to contact her. I was not able to contact her. I'm not sure if she's on video or not, but we think that she wants contact.
I'm here.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you. I'll give you the opportunity, okay?
Okay.
All right, thank you. Mr. White?
Would Your Honor like to hear from her first or me to go forward? It's
Whatever your pleasure is.
okay, Judge. Well, I'll just go ahead and finish up then.
Okay.
He does provide for their 3 children. Again, and so we're asking no violent arrests in his past. I didn't see anything. I didn't see anything in pretrial that says that he has a propensity for missing court or any of the like. So we're asking that he be allowed to sign his own bond in this case.
Ms. Mitchell, if you would like to address the court, I'll need for you to raise your right hand for me. Do you swear from the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, you can put your hand down. Thank you, ma'am. What would you like to tell the court?
I mean, we had got into a whole altercation, and I do have a black eye, and I had a lump. The lump's gone, and I have scratches, but it wasn't to the point of where I want him to be gone, because this never happened before. I'm not scared of him or any of that.
Okay. Anything further, ma'am?
No, sir. I was just letting you guys know that I'm not scared of him, and this is his home, so I would want him to come back to his home.
And do you have children with Mr. McWay?
Yes, we have 3 together.
And how old are the children?
4, 3, and 1.
Okay. Anything further for Ms. Mitchell?
No.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Mr. White, good afternoon, Ms. McCutcheon. How are you?
Sorry, good afternoon, Judge. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good. Mhm.
Anything further?
Your Honor, may I ask Ms. Mitchell a couple of questions?
Yes, Mr. Segura, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Ms. Mitchell.
Good afternoon.
Our report doesn't really say, but can you explain what kind of argument led to this altercation?
We was arguing about something that happened between him and my family.
I see. So it started off calmly and then?
Yes, and then it escalated, but we both was fighting each other.
I see, but he didn't leave. What kind of injuries did he leave on you again?
I had a knot on my head.
We understand.
Go ahead, ma'am.
I have a knot on my head. Well, I had a knot on my head. I have scratches on my arm, and I have a black eye. The knot is gone.
So you feel like the defendant, if he's released, could this happen again? Because it seems like it initially was a calm argument, which escalated.
No, it won't happen again.
Speculate.
That's all my questions. Thank you, Ms. Mitchell.
All right, thank you, Mr. Segura. Anything further, counsel?
No, Your Honor, I'm saying by our original argument that she's not afraid of him. He does provide for them and 3 children. It would be a burden to keep him in jail. We'd ask that he be allowed to sign his own bond.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm concerned about what Ms. Mitchell has informed the court. apparently there needed to be some type of police intervention. I don't take the injuries that she received lightly. It's going to be a $2,000 good bond. No further contact with Ms. Mitchell. Stay away from the 4165 Winfield Court address at the present time. He can go back to that address on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings that he might have there. Third-party contact with the children, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond.
So even though she wants to contact us, we're gonna have no further contact. I mean, this seems like a financial burden on top of everything else. He's gonna have to pay to live somewhere else. While,
I understand that, Mr. White, but
and this could
you
take
know,
up to a year or more.
with the injuries that with the intervention of the police, with the injuries, the black eye and the knot on the head, I'm concerned about that. I don't take that lightly. And if I put him back into that household and something happens, then that would be very difficult. So the bond order stands.
Thank you, Judge.
All right. Good luck to you, Mr. McWay, and good luck to you, Ms. Mitchell.
Hold on 1 second. Next, we have position 14. Mr. Moore.
Good afternoon, Mr. Moore. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we are conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Moore, you've been charged in case 22 CR 003904C with obstruction of a law enforcement officer and giving false information to a law enforcement officer. Is there a history, Ms. Bostic?
In regards to Mr. Moore, not a resident of the Metro Atlanta area, does not qualify, appears to have 16 prior arrests, and he's only 19 years old. Convictions in 21 is a theft by shoplifting and a given false name. He was just convicted 6/15/2022 of entering premises without warning, and also convicted of that charge in 2021. His last arrest was 5/23/2022, malicious injury to property. Nothing further.
Thank you. Mr. Segura?
This occurred on June the 19th, 2022. Officers were working at the Phelps Plaza located at 3500 Peachtree Road, Northeast Atlanta. In this incident, officers saw the defendant was aggressively approaching customers in the parking area. He was told to leave by the security guards, and police came to told him to come to him to make a positive ID. The defendant fled on foot. He also refused verbal commands to stop. At that point, the defendant was arrested and laid on the ground. When asked for a name, he gave a name of Trevante Bellick, which after some investigation was found out to be false. Because of this, the state is recommending a $2,000 surety bond, $1,000 for each count, no alcohol, drugs, and weapons, and stay away from the Phipps Plaza located at 3500 Peachtree Road, Northeast Atlanta address. The issues are based on these facts. Further concerns because he is only 19 and already has, including this arrest, more than 17 arrest. Also, we're concerned that his most recent arrest was in South Carolina about 2 months ago for malicious injury to personal property. And also, we're concerned he could commit a crime when he is out on bond, since when it's actually an uninitial pre-trial noted, but 15 of those arrests in South Carolina, 15 all occurred in 2021, which one of them also was false information. So I'm deeply concerned that someone so young could commit so many arrests in such a short period of time, and more than one in a different state. So I have those concerns. Thank you, Your Honor.
So if no objection with you, Mr. White, $1,000 signature bond through the jail on each count, which makes it for a $2,000 signature bond through the jail. Stay away from Phipps Plaza at 3500 Peachtree Road. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Does that suit you?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Good luck to you, Mr. Moore.
Next, we have position 19, Wesley.
Good afternoon, Mr. Wesley. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we are conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Wesley, you've been charged in case 22 CR 003906E with criminal trespass. Is there a history, Ms. Bostic?
Judge, in regards to Mr. Wesley, also multi-state offender, 5 arrests in New Jersey, 1 in Pennsylvania. Last conviction was a 21 wandering and prowling out of New Jersey. Nothing further.
Mr. Segura?
This occurred on October 18th, 2021 at the Marathon gas station at 3257 Main Street, Atlanta. In this incident, the owner of a vehicle called Mr. Odell Kazoo, Odell spelled O-D-E-L-L, Kazoo spelled K-A-Z-O-U-H, parked his vehicle near a gas pump at the Marathon gas station. He exited the vehicle with his friend and went into the gas station. Another friend was inside the vehicle taking a nap. When at that point, the defendant threw a brick at the rear end of the vehicle, shattering the glass, and which woke up the other friend who was in that vehicle. At that point, that friend who was inside the vehicle saw the defendant backing away and running into a different vehicle before leaving the scene. Because of this, the state's recommendation is a $3,000 surety bond, no alcohol, drugs, and weapons, and no further contact with Odell Kazoo. The interests are based on these facts, but we also have concerns that the defendant's multi-state arrest history is concerning, especially since there was a 2021 guilty for prowling out of New Jersey, and we are concerned they could simply leave without a bond, meaning he is a flight risk. Alongside, we're concerned because we called with Mr. Kazoo earlier today, and they all used to be roommates. So we are concerned that they do know each other. Thank you, Your Honor.
So Mr. Kazoo and Mr. Wesley they had a connection?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. White?
Judge, we're asking Mr. Wesley to be allowed to sign his own bond. This is a criminal trespass damage case at this point. He's been in the Atlanta area for about 2 years now. I heard 6 previous arrests, 5 of them out of New Jersey. So he's 40 years old, 6 arrests. He is employed with Quick Trip, has a good job with them. And so we're asking that he be allowed to sign his own bond and get back to that.
Okay, but so he worked at Quick Trip, but this was at a marathon, is that right?
That's correct. And this was back in October as
Right.
well. And there's been no incident since that we're aware of. So.
All right, so it's going to be a $2,000 signature bond through the jail. Stay away from that marathon at 3257 Main Street. No further contact with Mr. Kazoo, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Wesley.
Thank you, Your
To the jail, Judge?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Next position 20, Mr. West.
Good afternoon, Mr. West. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we are conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. West, you've been charged in case 22 CR 003905D with battery, family violence, and driving under the influence of alcohol less safe. Is there a history? Boston?
In regards to Mr. West, 20 prior arrests total, does not qualify, 3 felony convictions in FTA, 2 arrests for probation violations, a driving with a suspended license, a prior simple assault in 2006, and 2 DUIs in 2010 and 2014. Nothing further.
Yeah, I got this one over here. Okay.
Okay, Mr. Segura?
This occurred yesterday, June the 19th, 2022, at 220 Tanner's Court, Johns Creek. In this incident, also responding to the incident location in which they spoke with Miss Tammy West. Tammy spelled Tammy, West, common spelling. was the defendant's wife. When Ms. West spoke with police, she stated that the defendant was intoxicated, started an argument with her, and then left the residence. Specifically, Ms. West told the police that there was an argument about a garage door being locked, and at that point, the defendant said, quote, he had something forehorn. At that point, he struck her with a large travel mug in which Ms. West raised her arms in self-protection. At that point, they left a visible injury of a red abrasion and a bruise. After that point, the defendant left in his vehicle and started driving away. When police were able to make him stop, they mostly stopped him at 10930 Johns Creek Bridge Road, Johns Creek. At that point, police noted they had a smell of alcohol. He urinated on himself and asked what he was drinking. He said vodka. They did several evaluations on him in which they found that he was intoxicated. At that point, he was arrested. Because of this, the state is recommending a $9,000 surety bond, $5,000 for the family battery violence, and $4,000 for the DUI, one-day anger awareness, no alcohol, drugs, and weapons. A stairway from the 220 Tanner's Court, Johns Creek address, and no further contact with Tammy West. Foundations are based on these facts, as well as a concern about his history. As for the DUI, he has a 2010 guilty DUI conviction at DeKalb County, which is 10 C27117. He has a second DUI guilty from 2014, 14 C on 007383, and now this is his third one. Alongside, we are concerned about the safety of Ms. West, as she is the defendant's wife. They live together, and she stated that she actually spoke to audio today, and she stated she fears for her life. She believes the defendant will one day hurt her badly. He also threatened to have her life in the past. Alongside, she stated that the defendant told her that he'll make sure that she doesn't see the sun go down again. Alongside, during the incident when she beat her with a cup, she said there was bruising on her arm. He then poured water on her face. When we spoke with her further on, she said that she wants no further contact, stay away from the home, a one-time police escort for him to retrieve his belongings. Alongside, she says that the defendant calls her family members, making threats about how he's going to hurt Ms. West. Alongside, she also stated that the defendant has some of her personal belongings and wants it back. Alongside, she said that the defendant has other violent cases against her, and because of these deep concerns in which we feel for safety, and which Ms. West also has deep concerns, we are asking for a surety bond. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. White?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. West is employed. He has a good job. He has family and strong ties to the community. We have heard of no violent arrests. So as to the battery, I understand there's going to be a no further contact order, and Mr. West has no objection to that. We would, based on the history, I understand that the signature bond's probably not going to happen. So for the battery, we would ask for a $2,000 good bond, and on the DUI, a $1,000 good bond.
All right. For the battery, it's going to be a $3,000 good bond. For the DUI, it's going to be a $2,000 good bond, making for a total of a $5,000 good bond. No further contact with Ms. West. Stay away from the tennis court, 220 tennis court, in Johns Creek address. He can go back to that address on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings that he might have there. He is also to report to DUI court within 48 hours of release, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Okay, good luck to you, Mr. West.
I'm sorry, Judge, let's step away. What was the breakdown?
3 for the battery, 2 for the DUI, 5 total.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next, we have position 9, Mr. Johns.
Good afternoon, Mr. Johns. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the state court expedited accusation calendar that we are conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, Your Honor. Good morning, Your Honor, too, by the way.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Johns. You've been charged in case 22 CR 003916C with battery family violence. Is there a history, Ms. Foster?
At 4 prior arrests total, he's currently on probation for DUI out of Coweta, sentence 10/6/21 for 12 months, 1 arrest for probation violation, nothing further.
Ms. Duncan?
Yes, 1 second. All right. In this instance, Your Honor, it occurred on June the 18th, 2022. Officers, two officers witnessed a male fighting a female on the sidewalk. Officers approached the couple and separated them, and they determined that the persons involved in the altercation were the defendant in this case and our victim in this case, Miss Melina Fuentes. That's Melina, last name Fuentes, Fuentes. Officers separated the pair, and at that time they determined that the defendant in this case was the primary aggressor. According to officers, what was relayed to them is that the defendant took the victim in this case cell phone, and when she attempted to get it back, he began to fight her for it when she tried to retrieve it. Officers noted that she had several visible cuts on her and bruises due to the incident being located outside. They were on her leg and chest area. Officers indicated that the defendant in this case at the time was extremely intoxicated, so much so that his story changed multiple times during the recitation of the incident. Your Honor, given this defendant's history, we are concerned about the intimidation of this witness and the safety of this particular witness, given the fact that this incident did occur while he was intoxicated, and as pretrial stated, he does have offense convictions dealing with intoxication in his past. We are going to, my apologies, we're going to request a $3,500 surety bond, no further contact with the victim in this case. If there are children involved, we'd ask for a third-party contact, a stay away from where it is designated that the victim and the defendant reside, which is 187 Portico Place. Portico is spelled Portico Place, common spelling. 1 day anger awareness and no alcohol, drugs, and weapons.
Has anyone from your office spoken with Ms. Fuentes, Ms. Duncan?
Last time I checked, we were not able to make contact. Let me verify. 1 second.
While you do that, Ms. Whitfield?
Yes, Your Honor. We are asking for, in light of his lack of any violent history in this case, or in his life, we're asking for either a signature bond through pretrial, or in the alternative, asking for a bond in the amount of no more than $1,000. He denies that there were punches being thrown on his end to her. He also says that Ms. Fuentes had also been drinking quite heavily that night as well. He actually took her phone. He told police officers he took her phone in an attempt to call 911 based on her actions against him. He is 31 years old, Your Honor. He lives in Noonan. He is an Army veteran. He left the Army in 2020 when he was discharged. He has been working at a gutter company for the past 6 months. He completed some classes toward an associate degree. Your Honor, it's my understanding that he and Ms. Fuentes, I'm not sure of the contact provision, not hearing from Ms. Fuentes. I know Your Honor might impose a no contact provision. However, they do not, Mr. Johnson informs me that they do not live together at the same address. He has been staying with Ms. Fuentes at her address, but he has a separate address as well that he stays at. So he would request a one-time sheriff escort to retrieve any items that he might still have at Ms. Fuentes's house in order to retrieve them. We'd be asking, yes, that would be our request, Your Honor, keeping in mind his lack of any violent history on his record, and the fact that they do not live together and do not share any children together.
Okay, Anything further, Ms. Duncan?
Your Honor, for the record, we have not been able to make successful contact, and given our concern for this particular victim's safety, given the facts alleged, we'd request the no further contact as previously stated.
Okay, it's gonna be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial per the judge, 1-day anger awareness class, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. While out on bond, no further contact with Ms. Fuentes and stay away from the Portico Place address. He can go back to that address on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings that he might have there. All right, good luck to you, Mr. Johns. Ms. Whitfield, anything further?
Yes, I just wanted to confirm with Mr. Johns. I had it written down, but I could not find it again, whether or not the Portico Place address was Mr. Johns' address or whether or not that was Ms. Fuentes' address.
No, ma'am, that was my address.
That's your address. That's right. Ms. Fuentes, she lives, what was her address?
In Peachtree City. I'm not exactly sure the exact address. I think I even gave you the wrong one earlier. I know it's Peachtree Stations something.
Okay, she lives in Peachtree City then, so.
Does he need to go back to that Peachtree City address for any reason?
Your Honor, if I may, we have it stated as they live together at that address, so we would request to stay away.
And I've addressed, they have been staying together, but they do have separate residences. So if he is not kicked out of his own home, Your Honor, Ms. Fuentes does not live at that address, is my understanding.
Well, if I may, Your Honor, out of an abundance of caution, I would ask that in this instance, a one-time officer be sent to the location to verify that Ms. Fuentes does not live at the location, and if she does not, he may return and just have a stay away from wherever she resides. But if she resides there, the state would ask that the court impose a no further contact given the violent nature of the offense alleged.
Okay, well, I've already imposed a no further contact, which means that if he can't be around her, he can't be around where she is. So, so out of an abundance of caution, the Portico Place address, if she's there, he can't be there. If she is not there, then of course he can go to that address, and there'll be a one-time escort by law enforcement to verify that Ms. Fuentes is not at the Portico Place address.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Good luck to you, Mr. Johns.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And it's through pretrial, right, Judge?
Yes, it is.
Next, we have position 6, Mr. Foss.
How y'all doing?
Good afternoon, Mr. Falk. I'm Judge Eric. Good afternoon, sir. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the state court expedited accusation calendar that we are conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Falk, you've been charged in case 22 CR 003910F with simple battery in a public transit vehicle or station. Is there a history, Ms. Foster?
In regards to Mr. Falk, does not qualify, 7 prior arrests total. Appears to have an open violation of a TPO 22 CR 000992C. That address is 1125 Cascade Circle, different victim. I think it's a Chase Hale. He has an open felony case in Elbert County. He has a 2018 conviction for battery, substantial visible harm, and that's a different victim as well. That's a Cordarius Blackman. Nothing further.
Duncan?
Your Honor, this incident occurred around the 2280 Campbellton Road Southwest Adams House Apartments, but the incident did occur on a MARTA bus. It was bus 1847, Route 83 on Block 3. The victim in this case is the MARTA bus operator, Operator L. Biggers. That's Biggers. And Your Honor, in this case, the facts alleged from the warrant that this defendant grabbed the bus operator after an altercation and attempted to pull her off of the bus. We are concerned about the safety of this particular victim, my apologies, and we're concerned about the risk of reoffense of this defendant, given the history of violence in his criminal history. We're also concerned that if he's allowed to ride MARTA again, that there pose a specific threat to this victim. It's for these reasons that the state is going to request a $2,500 surety bond. No further contact with the victim in this case, operator L. Biggers. No further contact with her, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, and a stay away from all murder.
All right, Ms. Whitfield.
Yes, Judge, we are requesting, actually, Mr. Falk currently has a $1,000 surety bond set. In this case, we were requesting that that remain the same. We're now aware of his criminal history, Your Honor, including a prior incidents of violence. So that's why we are making a request. He is 28 years old, Your Honor. He is from Atlanta. He's lived here all his life. He actually lived with his mother. He is a high school graduate. He was laid off 2 years ago from State Farm Arena, and he has not been able to find work since then. So that is the basis for our request, Your Honor. He, I'm sure, already has I believe he told me he has a stay away, a trespass warning from MARTA separately as a result of this alleged incident. So yes, that would be a request for everyone to keep his bond the same at $1,000.
Anything further, Ms. Duncan?
Nothing further from the state.
All right, it's going to be a $2,000 good bond. No further contact with L. Biggers. Stay away from MARTA and the drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Falk.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Position 8, Mr. Guzman.
Good afternoon, Mr. Guzman. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Buenas tardes, señor Guzmán. Yo soy el juez Eric Morrow y esta es la audiencia de lista de causas estatales de trámite rápido. Estamos conduciendo esta teleaudiencia para evitar el contagio del virus. ¿Está de acuerdo con que tratemos su caso de esta manera?
Sí, señor.
Yes, sir.
All right, and I apologize, Madam Interpreter. I did not realize that this was one of our cases that we needed your services for. So if you can raise your right hand for me.
Yes, sir.
Do you swear or affirm that you will translate from Spanish to English and from English to Spanish to the best of your ability?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Let's see, Mr. Guzman, you've been charged in case 22 CR 003914H with giving false information to law enforcement, driving while licensed suspended or revoked, and another charge of giving false information to law enforcement.
Señor Sepúlveda, Guzmán Sepúlveda, usted en el caso 22 CR 003914H se lo ha acusado con 3 cargos. El primero por dar información falsa a un agente de la fuerza del orden, el segundo por manejar con licencia suspendida y después el tercero es otro cargo por dar información falsa a un agente de policía.
History, Ms. Bostic?
¿Hay más historial o antecedentes?
Judge, in regards to Mr. Guzman, 9 prior arrests total.
Con respecto al señor Guzmán, hay 9 arrestos anteriores.
8 in Georgia, 1 by ICE.
1 por el Departamento de Inmigración y 8 en el estado de Georgia.
7 are for driving offenses. He's currently on probation for reckless driving, defective or no tail lights, possession of an open alcohol container, and DUI sentence 11-4-21 for 12 months.
Tienen 7 de los cargos son infracciones de manejo. Después, en este momento está bajo probatoria por manejar con manera negligente, por manejar con luz defectuosa, por tener un envase de alcohol abierto, y también existe un cargo referente a manejar bajo los efectos del alcohol.
There appears to be another case for also driving with a suspended license, hit and run, due to the driver to stop and return to the scene of an accident out of Roswell. It said-
I'm sorry.
Go
I'm so
ahead.
sorry. También pareciera que hay otro caso por manejar con licencia suspendida y por un cargo referido a chocar y huir en Roswell.
Nothing further.
Nada más.
Duncan?
Yes, Your Honor, and in addition to what pretrial has stated, this defendant does have other driving offenses or citations on his driving history.
Sí, como explicó la dama, también existen otros cargos por manejar, por infracción al manejar negligentemente.
His driving license history does indicate that his current non-commercial driver's license is suspended.
Y también su historial de tránsito indica que él tiene una licencia a nivel comercial suspendida.
This incident occurred yesterday in the area of Alpharetta Highway.
Este incidente ocurrió ayer en el área de Alpharetta Highway.
Officers were conducting a traffic stop.
Los oficiales de policía estaban conduciendo una detención de tránsito.
They came in contact with a black Toyota Camry Solara
Y se contactaron con un Toyota negro Celara
that had a suspended registration.
que llevaba una registración suspendida.
When officers approached the vehicle, they began to talk to the driver and they informed the driver of the reason for the stop.
Cuando los oficiales se acercaron al Toyota, hablaron con el conductor a quienes le explicaron el porqué de la detención.
The driver of that vehicle, the defendant in this case, notified officers that he was unaware that the registration was suspended.
El acusado, el conductor, en este caso, le informó a los oficiales de policía que él no tenía conocimiento de tener su licencia suspendida.
The defendant also notified officers that at that time there were children in the vehicle and that he was headed home.
Y también les informó a los oficiales que llevaba a niños en el vehículo e iba rumbo a su casa.
Officers asked the driver at that time for his name and date of birth, and the driver gave the name of Roberto Guevara.
En ese momento, los oficiales le preguntaron por información la fecha de nacimiento, pero él dio el nombre de Roberto Guevara.
He gave a date of birth of May 5th, 1981.
Y también dio una fecha de nacimiento del 5/19, madam.
Yes, May 15th, 1981.
El 15 de mayo de 1981 como su fecha de nacimiento.
When that name and date of birth did not give a return, officers asked the driver which state his license was out of, and he said North Carolina.
Cuando esta información no les envió a los oficiales ninguna respuesta, el policía le preguntó de dónde era originalmente su licencia y él contestó que era de Carolina del Norte.
Officers were able to obtain the information correctly to identify the defendant by running the registered owner's license plate through the police department records.
Los oficiales entonces procesaron el número y la información de la placa del vehículo para poder obtener la información que habían pedido a través del Departamento de Transportes y sus archivos.
They located another case that is not relevant here, but they were able to identify the defendant, Roberto Guzman, as the driver of the vehicle at that time.
Ellos encontraron un caso que no es relevante a este y que el nombre del acusado era Roberto Guzmán.
And at that time, they were able to confirm that the license was suspended and the defendant was taken into custody.
Ahí pudieron constatar de que la licencia había sido suspendida y entonces llevaron al acusado bajo custodia.
The state in this case has a huge concern for risk of reoffense, given the defendant's extensive driving history of driving violations.
Debido al historial de incumplimiento de manejo que tiene el acusado, la fiscalía considera de que es muy probable que este acusado vuelva a cometer nuevas infracciones.
As well as the open cases and convictions for driving without a valid license.
Aparte de llevar el envase abierto y manejar con licencia inadecuada.
Given the facts and circumstances surrounding this occurrence, the state is going to request a $3,000 surety bond. That's $1,000 per charge.
Entonces, debido a estos hechos y circunstancias, la Fiscalía recomienda una fianza de $3,000, es decir, una fianza de $1,000 por cada cargo.
We're asking for sureties, no alcohol, drugs, and weapons, and no driving without a valid license.
Esto va a ser una fianza de garantía y se pide que se prohíba el uso de drogas, armas y alcohol y de manejar sin una licencia válida.
Nothing further from the state.
Nada más de parte de la Fiscalía.
Ms. Whitfield?
Thank you, Your Honor. We are asking for a bond of no more than $1,000 total for a surety bond.
Pedimos que por favor se otorgue una fianza no mayor, fianza de garantía no mayor de $1,000.
We are aware of Mr. Guzman's driving record, and that is why we make this request.
Y hacemos este pedido debido a que conocemos los antecedentes de tránsito del señor Guzmán.
As to the false information charges, Mr. Guzman informs me that the officer may have written down the information wrong due to a language barrier.
Y con respecto a la información falsa, alegada que se otorgó, el señor Guzmán me informa que debido a la barrera del lenguaje, él cree que el oficial escribió el nombre de manera equivocada a como él se la dijo.
Mr. Guzman is 41 years old, has lived in Georgia for 22 years, and is originally from Mexico.
El señor Guzmán es de México, tiene 41 años de edad y ha vivido en Georgia por 22 años.
He completed, I believe he completed the equivalent of a middle school education.
Él terminó lo que creo que es equivalente a la escuela media.
He has flipped houses here in Georgia for the past 20 years.
Él ha reparado casas y las ha vendido durante 20 años aquí en Georgia.
He lives with his wife and 3 children, and his mother and sister also live here.
Y él vive aquí en su hogar con su esposa, 3 niños, su madre y su esposa en Georgia.
In fact, he was driving with his 15-year-old daughter when he was arrested, who has mental health issues, and he has not been able to speak with her.
Corrección, vive con la hermana también. Y también me ha comentado que tiene una hija con problemas mentales y con un historial médico.
So we ask that for the false information charges, each carry a $250 surety bond.
Lo que pedimos es que se le otorgue una fianza de $250 de bajo garantía por cada cargo en vez de lo mencionado.
And we ask for no more than a $500 surety bond on the driving while license suspended charge.
Y solo $500 por manejar sin una licencia válida. Y
If I may,
$250 por los otros.
If I may, I want to clarify for the record that the warrant does indicate that officers at the time of incident did in fact ask this defendant to write down his last name, and the name that he wrote down was that Guevara last name that turned out to be incorrect.
Quisiera escribir que en la documentación acerca de esta detención, los oficiales declararon que se le pidió que a él, acusado, que escribiera el nombre él mismo, y él escribió el apellido de Guevara.
Nothing further.
Nada más.
Thank you. That's going to be a split bond. It's going to be $1,000 signature bond through the jail for each of the false information charges. And for the driving on a suspended or revoked license, it's going to be $1,000 good bond. So it's a total of a $3,000 split bond. No driving without a valid license, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond.
Voy a otorgar una división de montos en cada uno de los cargos de $1,000 cada una por manejarse de licencia, por los que son referidos a dar falsa información. Una fianza de $1,000 se otorga de $1,000 por manejar sin licencia, y queda prohibido el manejar sin licencia y el uso de drogas, alcohol y armas.
Are those signature bonds through the jail or pretrial, Your Honor?
Through the jail.
La fianza bajo firma se hará a través de la cárcel. I'm sorry, Your Honor, could you please clarify for the interpreter which charge is the signature bond?
Yes, that's fine. The given false information, both those charges will be signature, $1,000 signature bond
Okay.
through the jail.
Thank you. Los cargos relacionados a dar falsa información serán, se les otorga una fianza bajo firma.
I was wondering, I see the big click. ¿Está bien?
That's fine.
Okay, any questions?
¿Alguna pregunta que quiera hacer, señor?
All right, good luck to you, Mr. Guzman.
Buena suerte, señor Guzmán.
We also have our other interpreter case, Judge, position 18, Mr. Ruiz.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Ruiz. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we are conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Buenas tardes, señor Ruiz. Yo soy el juez Eric Morrow y esta es la audiencia de lista de causas estatales de trámite rápido, y estamos conduciendo esta teleaudiencia para evitar el contagio del virus. ¿Está de acuerdo con que tratemos su caso de esta manera?
Buenas tardes, sí está bien.
Good afternoon. Yes, that's fine.
Thank you. You have been charged in case 22 CR 003902H with DUI, less safe, speeding, and improper erratic lane change.
Usted está, one moment, please. I don't think I have the charges correctly. I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Okay, that's fine.
Usted-
DUI, less safe, speeding, and improper erratic lane change. Okay.
Señor Ruiz, usted tiene 3 cargos. Por manejar incapacitado por los efectos del alcohol, por exceso de velocidad y por manejar de manera inapropiada y errática.
Is there a history?
¿Hay antecedentes?
No prior arrest, Judge.
No hay antecedentes de arresto.
Mr. Segura?
This occurred on June the 19th, 2022.
Esto ocurrió el 19 de junio del 2022
at the instant location of 2300 Holcomb Bridge Road, Boswell.
Y esto ocurrió en el 220 de Holcomb Bridge en Roswell.
Police officers were using a speed detection device at that location.
En esa localidad, los oficiales de policía estaban usando un aparato detector de alta velocidad.
At that point, the defendant passed the detection and he registered a 58 on a 45.
El acusado en ese momento pasó y registró una velocidad de 58 en una zona de 45 millas por hora.
At that point, officers followed behind the defendant's vehicle.
Y en ese momento los oficiales de policía siguieron al vehículo del acusado.
At that point, they noticed the defendant failed to maintain his lane 3 times.
To maintain what?
Maintain his lane. He was moving out of lane.
Okay. Y en ese momento los oficiales notaron que el acusado no se podía mantener en su carril mientras manejaba.
His vehicle was stopped after the police activated the emergency lights and the sirens.
Y en ese momento iniciaron la detención y prendieron las luces intermitentes para detenerlo.
Officers went up to the defendant and he smelled like alcohol.
Cuando se acercaron los oficiales, este acusado olía alcohol.
When the officer asked the defendant where he came from, the defendant said his parties.
Cuando le preguntaron de dónde venía, él dijo que venía de una fiesta.
The defendant told the officers that he had 2 drinks.
Y le dijo a los policías el acusado que había bebido 2 tragos.
The defendant had red and watery eyes.
El acusado tenía ojos rojizos y cristalinos.
The officer had the defendant take an evaluation.
Entonces, también el acusado se sometió a una evaluación.
In which they found 6 observable clues of being intoxicated observed.
6 out of how many, sir?
6 out of 6.
Ok. Entonces, los oficiales detectaron que el acusado dio 6 señales de las 6 pruebas que le otorgaron de estar bajo la influencia del alcohol.
When the officers had the defendant conduct a different evaluation, they noticed that he began to stumble and was unable to stand up correctly.
Cuando trataron de hacerle una nueva prueba en el área, notaron que el acusado comenzó a tambalearse y no se podía parar.
They had the defendant take a breathalyzer test in which he had above 0.08.
También usaron el alcoholímetro y que dio resultado de 0.08, mayor de 0.08.
The state's recommendation is a $4,500 surety bond.
La fiscalía recomienda una fianza de $4,000 bajo garantía.
$3,500 for the DUI, $500 for the speeding, and $500 for the improper lane change.
The last one was 500, Mr.
Yes.
Segura? Yes, thank you. Se recomienda $3,500 por el cargo de manejar incapacitado bajo los efectos del alcohol, $500 por exceso de velocidad y por el último cargo una fianza de $500 también.
We're asking also for no alcohol, drugs, and weapons while out on bond, and no driving without a valid license.
Pedimos que quede prohibido el uso de drogas, alcohol y armas mientras esté fuera bajo fianza, ni tampoco manejar sin una licencia válida.
Our recommendations are based on these facts,
Basado en todos estos hechos,
but we're also concerned that he was driving while intoxicated in an area where he could have injured other people.
Consideramos que él manejaba bajo la influencia del alcohol, pudiendo causar daño a otras personas.
Well, he was also speeding, and well, he also admitted that he drank alcohol.
También cometió exceso de velocidad y admitió haber bebido alcohol.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Gracias, señorita.
Mr. White?
Your Honor, first I'd like to address the breath test issue that the state brought up. The test that he referred to was an Alka-Sensor test on the side of the road. It wasn't the intoxicant, and that number is inadmissible at court. All they can do is testify as to whether or not it was positive for alcohol. So he did not end up taking an intoxilizer at the jail. He complained the entire time of needing to go to the bathroom very badly, and the officer did not read implied consent in a timely manner, using as an excuse the reason that he needed to go to the bathroom, but he took him to the
Mr.
jail.
White, Mr. White.
I'm sorry.
The interpreter?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mr. White, did you say he took an Alka-Seltzer?
Alka-Sensor, it's
Alka-Sensor.
I'm sorry.
Primero y que todo quiero aclarar que no hubo una examinación bajo alcoholímetro, sino bajo un sensor ALCA. También que es legalmente inadmisible. También quiero agregar que mi cliente pedía ir al baño varias veces. Tampoco se le tomó un examen con el alcoholímetro una vez llegado en la cárcel. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to point that out, Judge, because the state made it sound as if they had a number over the legal limit that they could use in court. They do not.
Quería yo aclararlo porque la fiscalía sonó como que tenían un resultado del nivel del alcohol en la sangre que se podía usar en el tribunal.
There are other issues with the field evaluations after the HGN. It's very fuzzy as to what we have, and we don't have a supplemental report for any of the field sobriety tests.
También hay otras cuestiones sobre las evaluaciones hechas en el área que dieron en realidad un resultado que es incierto, ni tampoco fue presentado un informe suplemental para corroborar los resultados.
Judge, I only bring that up to just show that there are some serious issues with the state's case at this point. Mr. Ruiz is 47 years old and never been arrested before. We're asking that he be allowed to sign his own bond in these charges.
Debido a que hay serias cuestiones para tratar con este caso de la Fiscalía, yo quisiera decirle, su señoría, que el señor Ruiz tiene 37 años y jamás ha sido arrestado antes.
Okay. Mr. Ruiz doesn't have a history as such. For the DUI, it's going to be $1,000 SOB through the jail. For the speeding, a $250 SOB through the jail. And for the erratic lane change, a $250 SOB through the jail, making for a total of a $1,500 SOB through the jail.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Quisiera decir entonces que van a ser $1,000 de multa para la de fianza para el cargo relacionado por manejar con los efectos del alcohol, por exceso de velocidad son $250 y por el tercer cargo por manejar de manera errática son también $250 que pueden ser pagadas a través de la cárcel.
Drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond.
Y queda prohibido el uso de drogas, alcohol y armas mientras esté fuera bajo fianza.
Good luck to you, Mr. Ruiz.
Buena suerte, señor Ruiz.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Do we need Madam Interpreter for any other cases this afternoon?
No, that's it, Judge.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Have a good
Good to see you. Have a good
You
afternoon.
too.
Thank you.
We're gonna let South Annex go next, Judge.
Okay, all right. Good afternoon, South Annex.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon.
Before you is position 7, Ms. Ferguson.
Good afternoon, Ms. Ferguson. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation calendar that we are conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Ferguson, you've been charged in case 22 CR 003915C with simple battery family violence. Is there a history?
No, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Ferguson. Pre-trial? Ms. Bostic? We'll come back to Ms. Bostic. Ms. Dunn?
Yes, Your Honor, this is a dual case, and the victim in this case is Khadijah Campbell, Kadijah Campbell, common spelling, who is the other person living in the same household. This incident occurred yesterday, is alleged to have occurred yesterday at 301 Pine Street Northwest. In this incident, Your Honor, the warrant and citations indicate that this defendant dragged the victim Campbell out of the apartment that they shared together and struck her several times over her body with a broomstick. We are concerned about the risk of reoffense in this case, given that the two parties do live together, and as well as the safety of this particular victim, given the violent nature alleged, as well as intimidation, given the fact that they do live together. From my research, Your Honor, it's indicated that this is the defendant's second arrest. Given the violent nature of the offenses alleged and the circumstances surrounding this incident, we're going to request a $3,000 surety. No further contact with the victim in this case. As far as the stay away, we will defer to the court since it is a dual case. 1-day anger awareness, no alcohol, drugs, and weapons. Also would like to note for the record that the warrants and citations in each case do not indicate a primary aggressor. So given the facts and circumstances, we'll request the bond and the conditions as stated.
Ms. Bostic, are you with me? And who's representing Ms. Ferguson?
I am, Your Honor.
Hi, good afternoon, Ms. McLeod. How are you?
I am fine, thank you.
Okay, and since Ms. Campbell is, Ms. Whitfield, are you representing Ms. Campbell?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, all right, just wanted to make sure. Go ahead, Ms. McLeod.
My client is 28 years old, Your Honor. She lives in Atlanta and has lived in Atlanta since she was an infant. She tells me she was originally from California, but has no memory of California. So she is definitely a native of Atlantan. She is 1 semester away from getting her bachelor's degree. She works in IT and she is studying information technology, about to get her degree. She tells me that she and the cross-defendant are in a relationship, or at least were in a relationship up to this incident, and they just recently moved in together into an apartment. Both names are on the lease, Your Honor. My client has no history. She told me she was once arrested for DUI, but it was dismissed. So she has a clean record, Your Honor. She is gainfully employed and has no history of any violence. Therefore, I would ask the court to allow her to sign her own bond to get out. She tells me that she's the one who pays the bills of this apartment. This is her home and she has nowhere else to go, Your Honor.
Okay.
I think in this case, a condition to the bond should be no violent contact.
All right.
I think my client would prefer that.
Ms. Bostic, are you back with me? Ms. Whitfield, I know that we're not on Ms. Campbell, but to your knowledge, does Ms. Campbell have a history?
Not to my knowledge, Judge, no.
Okay, and what's Ms. Campbell's desire as far as contact goes?
She would not be opposed to no violent contact. I think she would prefer no contact for a temporary period of time, Your Honor. She also lives at that residence. The biggest issue is the residence that they share together. She's requested a little bit of cooling off time. However, they both share the lease. They both pay the bills. Ms. Campbell's sister actually now is staying with them in the residence for a while with her children. So I talked with Ms. McLeod a little bit about it earlier about hopefully we could come to some kind of, if one needs to stay and one needs to go, what we could figure out. But Ms. Campbell also indicates to me that she does not have anywhere else she can go stay. So I will leave that at the discretion of the court.
Your Honor, if I may, my research does indicate that Ms. Campbell has at least 4 cycles with an open violent charge. 21 CR 002450C, and it's 2 counts of, well, 1 count of simple battery, 1 count of simple battery family violence, and the victim is different in that case.
Okay, so we're dealing with Ms. Ferguson right now. So as far as Ms. Ferguson goes, it's going to be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial, 1-day anger awareness. At the present time, no further contact with Ms. Campbell, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Since it appears to be Ms. Campbell who wants the cooling off period, I'm going to require that Ms. Campbell be the one that has to find another location while this is pending. So Ms. Ferguson can go back to the Pine Street address. Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Any questions regarding that?
Nothing from the state.
Okay, so
May
do we
Ms.
have?
Campbell return with an escort to retrieve belongings?
Of course, and I want to discuss this with Ms. Campbell also. Do we have Ms. Campbell? So Ms. Ferguson, good luck to you, ma'am. Okay.
Yes, Judge, she's in courtroom 3.
Okay, so let's go to courtroom 3 then. Good afternoon, Ms. Campbell. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the state court expedited accusation calendar that we are conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Campbell, you've been charged in case 22 CR 003913C with battery family violence. Ms. Bostic, are you there? Okay. Mr. Jordan, would you help me out, please, and see what's going on with pretrial and why they're not with us? I want to make sure that I get Ms. Campbell's history right regarding this matter.
Okay, so
Thank you, Mr. Jordan. Ms. Duncan, anything that you want to add to your presentation that was not presented with Ms. Ferguson?
Yes, as far as the facts of this case, Your Honor, the defendant in this case is alleged to have hit the victim, Miss Anika Ferguson. We have it ANIKA Ferguson, common spelling, in the face with what police described as a dominatrix whip, leaving visible bruises to her face. Given the nature of the offenses alleged, Your Honor, and the fact that there is an open simple battery case, as I stated previously, but for the record, 21 CR 002450C, simple battery and simple battery family violence with a different victim. We're concerned about the risk of reoffense as well as intimidation to this particular witness because they do live together and are in a relationship, or at least were. We're going to request a $3,500 surety bond. No further contact with the victim in this case. We defer the stay away to the judge. 1-day anger awareness, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons.
Okay, Ms. Whitfield?
Yes, Your Honor. We'd be requesting a bond of no more than $1,000 surety in this case. Given the open case is not a conviction, the pending open case in Fulton County State Court is not a conviction, Your Honor. However, we maintain our request for a $1,000 surety bond. Ms. Campbell is 31 years old. She has lived in Atlanta for the past 2 years. Previous to that, she lived in Pennsylvania. She has her LPN nursing license, which she is trying to transfer to Georgia. She actually owns a small business. It's sort of an e-commerce business that is promoting, it's called The Selfish Shop, promoting wellness and self-care to women. Like I mentioned, Your Honor, her sister is also living in Atlanta, is living at that address. So hopefully she can I believe she should still be able to receive mail there if she is out on bond, Your Honor. So that is our request for Ms. Campbell at this time. Of course, also noting that the police were not able to make a determination as to who the primary aggressor was.
So it's going to be $1,000 surety bond, no further contact with Ms. Ferguson. Stay away from the Pine Street address. She can go back to that address on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings that she might have there. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. All right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Good luck to you, Ms. Campbell.
Your Honor, that concludes my business for the day. May I be excused?
Yes, thank you, Ms. McLeod. We appreciate it.
You're
You have a
welcome.
good afternoon. Thank
You too, Judge.
I got position number 16 next, Judge, please.
Okay. Good afternoon, Ms. Rouse. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation calendar that we're conducting. Good afternoon. We're conducting this by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Rouse, you've been charged in case 22 CR 003901D with terroristic threats. Is there a history, Ms. Boston?
Only prior arrest is a criminal trespass from August of last year, and that case is appears to still be open out of Clayton County. Nothing further.
Thank you. Mr. Segura?
This case occurred yesterday, June the 19th, 2022, at the incident location of 4980 Cascade Road, Southwest, South Fulton. In this incident, the defendant was having issues with the father of a friend, Mr. Donald Coleman. Donald common spelling, Coleman common spelling, and he is the father of a friend, Anaya Coleman. Anaya spelled A-N-A-Y-A, Coleman common spelling. In this case, the defendant wanted to talk with Mr. Coleman to address the issues and to repair their relationship, but on the phone, they started yelling at each other. At some point, Mr. Donald Coleman wanted to inform his daughter at the incident location to come home. In that phone call, the defendant cussed at him and said that she was going to shoot him in the face. Alongside, Mr. Coleman got additional phone calls from an unknown number saying, quote, "You don't know who you're playing with or what he would do to him." Alongside, Mr. Coleman showed police officers a text message saying that the defendant was at the incident location with 4 people waiting on him. Now, during this incident, there was a witness, a Miss Dedra Koch, Dedra spelled D-E-D-R-A, Koch, K-O-C-H, who overheard this. And because of this, the state is recommending a $4,000 surety bond, alcohol, drugs, and weapons. And stay away from that Mr. Coleman's home address, which is 5205 Cascade Road, Southwest, South Fulton, and no further contact with Mr. Donald Coleman. There are special concerns because the defendant and Mr. Coleman know each other, and in fact, it's known as on the warrant that defendant trespassed on the home on June the 16th, 2022, in which she kicked the glass door and broke it. So it's concerns that due to this close relationship, due to the fact that the defendant knows where Mr. Coleman lives, and in fact, both property, the front door of his home location, there was concerns about his safety. In fact, we all sent this case to the DA for them to review this case, because Abby said she knows who he lives, she damaged his property before. She did say she's gonna get a gun and shoot him in the face. Alongside, she does have some threats of having other people with her who could do stuff to him. And because of this, we are worried about his safety. Thank you.
Mr. White?
Judge, I don't know where to begin. First of all, with a terroristic threat misdemeanor, there can be no conviction without a corroborating witness. And apparently this was done over the phone. So even if it happened, she can't be convicted of it about somebody unless it was over the phone. So there would have been nobody but the person threatened that heard it. And that is specifically in the statute that says, unless third-party corroboration exists, you cannot be convicted of this charge. Additionally, supposedly there's a text from a different number that says that that she's there with people waiting on him. Well, that's not a threat. And they would need to also additionally tie that number to hers somehow. Be that as it may, it's her second arrest. She's 20 years old. She does have a very good job. And I'll have to apologize to her and the court. It's either UPS or the United Postal Service. I don't remember which it was when I put the abbreviation down. But she's been there. She has family in the area and ties to the community. We're asking that she'd be allowed to sign her own bond.
She doesn't have any reason to be around Mr. Coleman, does she?
She does not, Judge. We have no problem with a stay away from Mr. Coleman.
Your Honor, in fact, Ms. Ayana Coleman's mom, Ms. Dedrick Cock, was there, and she did overhear this conversation and the threats. So there was a witness.
Okay, so it's gonna be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial, 1-day anger awareness, no further contact with Mr. Coleman.
They already recorded.
Hold on. I don't know who's talking, but you're interrupting. And let me start over, I apologize. $3,000 signature bond through pretrial, 1-day anger awareness, no further contact with Mr. Coleman, and stay away from his address at 5205 Cascade Road, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Any questions? All right, good luck to you, Ms. Riles.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Next judge,
I had a question.
Position.
I do have a question, Judge.
Hold on, Ms. Riles, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you. Mr. White?
Yeah, I would you can have before you say anything, just let me explain to you, you got a signature bond, you're not gonna have to put up any money, and you can have no further contact with Mr. Coleman while the case is pending. I don't think there's anything else that we can discuss here that would help you in any way.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
All right.
All right, good luck to you, Ms. Riles. Courtroom 2, tell me again, I'm sorry. Who do we have?
no problem. Position 10, Mr. Kaki.
Okay.
Your Honor, the state is going to request a breakout room for this case. However, due to the sensitive nature of the facts alleged, I see that there is another defendant in the courtroom at this time. Would they be able to go first so we can freely discuss?
Judge, this is Attorney Joe Todd. I represent Mr. Kekai.
Good afternoon, Mr. Todd.
Good afternoon.
Let's see, because of why don't we just do this right now so that we can move this forward. Given the nature of the charges, Mr. Todd, the prosecutors are asking that we go into a breakout room, if that's fine with you. So it'll be myself, Mr. Todd, Ms. Duncan, Ms. McCutcheon, Ms. Bridgewater, anyone else that needs to go into that breakout room?
Okay, Judge, quick question.
Okay.
Going back, before I let him go, position 1, Mr. Barber, he also had a battery charge. I wasn't sure, that's not on the calendar, so I wasn't sure if it's dismissed or it's it says a battery family violence.
I think it's a bench warrant.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a bench warrant, I believe.
Okay, thank you. That was it.
Okay.
Judge, we have one other house cleaning matter there was an Asia Robinson that was on the calendar. I'm sorry, position, I believe. 17. And I spoke with her. They called from the jail after I'd spoken with her and asked if I could waive her presence because I think there's some sort of behavioral issue. I was unable. I tried to call the jail back. I called my supervisor to see if we could actually even do that. And Mr. Howard said I couldn't do it without her permission. Obviously, wasn't able to get that. So we're going to have to reset her case until tomorrow.
Okay, so reset position 17 until 6/21.
Yes, Judge.
Okay, all right. And we're not done with the calendar at this time. We're just going into a breakout room regarding Miss KK.
Okay.
Okay. So, Mr. Jordan, if you would mind putting us in a breakout room, please.
What time tomorrow?
So I was here for Asia. Should I just leave?
Yes, so it looks like the case will be reset to tomorrow. Are you the victim on the case or witness?
Yes, I'm her mom. Would that be,
Find out what time.
would that be 2 o'clock or earlier?
It will be 2 o'clock tomorrow. It'll be the same Zoom link, so someone should probably reach out to you from the Solicitor's Victim Advocate Office.
Okay, all right. And do you know if Asia's okay?
I'm not sure.
Okay,
That was just an announcement that came from the jail.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
See you tomorrow.
Okay, so, sir, we've had a discussion with your attorney and the prosecutors in the matter. The bond is gonna be a $2,000 good bond for each charge, making it a total of a $4,000 good bond. No further contact with Soraya, Kake, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. All right. Good luck to you, sir. Mr. Todd, do you have any further business before the court?
No, Your Honor, may be excused.
Yes, have a good afternoon.
Thank you, Judge. Good seeing you.
You too.
Also, Judge,
Yes.
for position 17, they waived their appearance. Ms. Robinson, Asia Robinson.
We were gonna reset that for tomorrow.
Well, because she had already talked to the public defender. She already been interviewed.
That's correct. She had been interviewed, but I didn't get her permission to waive her. Since I'd already spoken with her. I tried to call you guys back a couple of times to let you know that I would need to speak with her to get that. So we can maybe try that tomorrow, but.
The only thing also, just to FYI, she's mental health as well.
And she was combative, so that was one reason why I called you, Mr. White. They said we
I
could get her waived.
I understand, but we specifically have to have her permission to waive her. And I'd already spoken with her. So I tried to call back a couple of times to let you guys know that I would need to ask her to waive it.
Yeah.
But we didn't.
She's gonna try to fight all of us.
Yeah, she was trying to fight us.
We're
So
trying
that's
to
why
fight
we
all
wanted
of
to
us.
waive her appearance.
I understand, but I mean,
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
cannot do it. It's.
So, hopefully, Mr. White will be able to speak with her before tomorrow in that regard. Okay?
All right, Judge. Judge, you'll be here tomorrow?
I'll be here tomorrow, yes.
Thank
All
you.
right, awesome. Thank you,
Okay.
Judge.
All right.
Be here 5 days a week.
It's nice to be wanted, but.
All right, have a good one. Thank
One of the
you.
hardest working judges in Fulton County.
Yep, that's for sure.
Is there an announcement for position 11, Your Honor?
I think we're still gonna go back to the South Annex.
Okay.
All right.
Before you is position 15, Ms. Ritchie.
Okay. Good afternoon, Ms. Ritchie. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the state court expedited accusation calendar that we're conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Ritchie, you've been charged in case 22 CR 003900D with making an improper U-turn, operating without lights as required by law, erratic lane change, and driving under the influence of alcohol. Concentration is 0.08 or more. Is there a history?
No, no. In regards to Ms. Ritchie, no prior arrest history. She lives in Griffin, Georgia, nothing further.
Okay, Mr. Segura?
This occurred on June the 18th, 2022, in which officers were patrolling Holcomb Bridge Road and Market Boulevard, Roswell. At this incident, the police observed the defendant making an illegal U-turn at that intersection, and then when they saw the car passing towards them, they noticed that there was no tail lights, and only the daytime running lights were on instead of the vehicle headlights. At that point, police turned on their headlights and started following the defendant. At that point, they saw that the defendant struck a curb on the right side of the road, which meant the defendant went out of lane. At that point, the police are following, turned on the lights, and the defendant stopped at a Chevron gas station. The police told the driver who is the defendant to turn off her vehicle, which she did. When the police went up to her, they noticed that she had the odor of alcoholic beverage, she had bloodshot eyes and watery eyes. When spotted speaking to her, she murmured about a flat tire, and when asked questions, then they asked her questions. And police asked her where she was. Initially, she said no cross, and then she said in the Alpharetta area. She told police that she drank a little at a graduation party, 2 drinks, in fact, roughly 20 minutes before she was stopped. After she had taken a sobriety test, she responded that someone would pick her up and did not answer the question. At that point, she took the sobriety test, in which she She followed the HGN evaluation in which the police observed 6 out of 6 clues, and then on the walk and turn, they noticed she had 6 out of 8 clues, and the defendant had a hard time leaning against the backhoe vehicle for balance. Alongside, the police noticed that she was unable to maintain a starting position, and also missed her heel toe step. Alongside, as the police report noted that they're showing a breath alcohol, so she had a breath alcohol concentration of 0.109, which is above the 0.08 grams limit. Because of this, the state's recommendation is a $4,500 surety bond, $500 for the improper U-turn, $500 for the operating for lights, $500 for driving improper lane change, and $3,000 for the DUI. They're also asking for the conditions of no alcohol, drugs, and weapons, and no driving without a valid license. The concerns is all because she was driving under the influence in the busy highway, which could have been dangerous to other drivers. Alongside, her vehicle was damaged, so there's concerns about how it got damaged, and she was driving with a tire which was flat. Alongside, based on the history, even though this is her first arrest, she does have a citation for speeding in 2006, which is a 66 on a 45. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. White.
Yes, so I heard one 16-year-old speeding case. Is that correct? All right. We're asking it, Miss Ritchie be allowed to sign her own bond. She's almost 35 years old. It's her first ever arrest. She does have an associate's degree and is currently seeking employment at this time. Again, frankly, she's been in jail 62 hours at this point. I understand that that's not a Riverside issue, but that's 3 days, and even a first DUI, she's going to be more than time served at this point, even if she is convicted. So we're asking that she be allowed to sign her own bond and come back to court at a later date.
All right, so for the DUI, it's going to be a $2,000 signature bond through the jail. For each of the other charges, it's going to be a $250 signature bond through the jail each. So that makes it a total of a $2,750 signature bond through the jail, and no drugs or alcohol while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Ritchie.
Thank you, Ronnie.
Next, we have position 11, Ms. Lewis.
Good afternoon, Ms. Lewis. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the state court expedited accusation calendar that we are conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
What?
We're doing this over the video, Ms. Lewis. Is that all right with you?
Yes.
Okay. You've been charged in case 22 CR 003918B with criminal trespass. Is there a history?
No.
Judge, in regards to Ms. Lewis' extensive criminal history, 53 arrests in Georgia, 19 in Florida. This is her 6th arrest this year. She has an open pretrial case. We're doing a bond surrender on that. Her last arrest was an FTA on the 24th of May this year. History of criminal trespass and theft by shoplifting. Nothing further.
What is the open case in regards to Ms. Boston? That's pretrial has?
Oh, cocaine and drug-related objects.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Ms. Duncan?
Your Honor, this offense, we are concerned about the risk of reoffending in this case. I believe this incident occurred yesterday at the BP on 610 Spring Street. We're concerned about the risk of reoffending, given that this defendant does have an extensive history of criminal trespass convictions. We're also concerned that this defendant is a flight risk, given that this defendant does have several FTAs within the past 5 years. There is a preset bond in this case of $1,500. The state is going to be recommending that that bond amount remain as set and that this defendant stay away from the BP on 610 Spring Street, have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, and no further violations of Georgia law. Nothing further from the state.
Ms. Whitfield?
Yes, Your Honor, we would also, we would ask that Your Honor consider lowering her bond. We're aware of her pretty extensive history and prior FTAs and prior criminal trespassing. However, Miss Lewis is living currently in between a shelter or with family and friends, so she is residentially challenged. She is not working at the moment. She last worked at a customer service center, but she cannot really remember when the last time that was. She completed a year of college. She does have access to a mailbox, whether it is with a family member or a friend, so she can receive court notices, Your Honor, but we would ask that you consider lowering it, but I will leave it at the court's discretion.
Ms. Lewis, if I let you out, will you not go back to this BP gas station?
No.
Okay, you know, you're not gonna be able to go back there, you understand?
Okay.
Okay, so it's gonna be a $2,000 signature bond through the jail and stay away from the BP gas station and no drugs or alcohol. All right, so if you go back there, Miss Lewis, then they're just gonna call the police and you're gonna be right back where you are, okay?
Okay.
All right, good luck to you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, I'll
Bye.
see you tomorrow, Officer Mills.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Thank you for everything, Your Honor. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you all.
yeah, you
Bye.
be safe. Okay, I think that concludes the 2 o'clock calendar. When Ms. Bridgewater is ready, we can go through it.
I am ready. Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Juneteenth.
Hey, Holly.
We're ready. The reset date for the SAP calendar is going to be July the 5th. Position number 1 is reset further notice with a $1,000 SOB through the jail. Position number 2 is reset further notice with a $2,000 total SOB through the jail.
Excuse me, Ms. Bridgewater, can I get the breakdown on that? I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Position number 2, charge number 1 is $250 SOB through the jail. Charge number 2 is $500 SOB through the jail. Charges 3 and 4 are $250 SOB through the jail. Position 5 is a $500 SOB through the jail. And charge number 6 is $250 SOB through the jail.
What's the amount for charge number 2?
Charge number 2 is a $500 SOB through the jail.
And 6, one more time, my apologies.
$250 SOB through the jail. Making a total of a $2,000 SOB through the jail.
Thank you.
Okay. Position 3 is reset further notice with a $3,000 total SOB through the jail. Position 4 is reset to the SAP calendar with a $1,000 good bond. Position 5 is reset to the SAP calendar with a $2,000 good bond. Position 6 is reset to the SAP calendar with a $2,000 good bond. Position 7, reset further notice with a $2,000 SOB through pretrial. Position 8, reset to the SAP calendar with a $3,000 total split bond. Position 9, reset further notice with a $3,000 SOB through pretrial per judge. Position 10, reset to the SAP calendar with a $4,000 total good bond. Position 11 is reset further notice with a $2,000 SOB through the jail. Position 12, reset further notice with a $3,000 total SOB through pretrial. Position 13, reset to the SAP calendar with a $2,000 good bond. Position 14, reset further notice with a $2,000 total SOB through the jail. Position 15, reset further notice with the $2,750 total SOB through the jail. Position 16, reset further notice with a $3,000 SOB through pretrial. Position 17 is reset till tomorrow. Position 18 is reset further notice with a $1,500 total SOB through the jail. Position 19, reset further notice with a $2,000 SOB through the jail. Position 20 is reset to the SAP calendar with a $5,000 total good bond. And position 21 is a $1,500 total SOB through the jail, is reset further notice. Are there any questions, comments, or otherwise?